I did have a birth plan, and my birth plan went like this. La 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 la.
My goodness, what is this birth plan thing? Is it like the Constitution of the United States? It's being treated like it's some Bill of Rights of labor and delivery.
I've never talked to anybody whose birth worked according to plan.
If I had come to my doctor and the people in the hospital with a sheaf of papers of what I wanted to do, they would have been like, whatever, chica.
I had a friend who wanted a water pump.
I had a pretty snip-happy doctor, let's just tell you.
Hi everybody, Nancy O'Dell with Access Hollywood here, an author of Full of Life. And I am so excited to be a part of Momversation, so thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited about today's topic because the subtitle of my book is called Mom to Mom Tips I Wish Somebody had told me about when I was pregnant. I was constantly asking my friends, like, why didn't you friggin' tell me about that? And birth plans is one of the things that I discuss in the book because before I was pregnant, I had never heard anything about it. Every time I'd be on one of the pregnancy websites, I would always see like these flashing red lights and it would say, download your free birth plan form right now. And so I really wanted to know, do I need a birth plan? How important is a birth plan? And exactly what is a birth plan? And particularly, Heather, I'd like to hear what you have to say because you are at the time, just a few more weeks.
I am 33 weeks pregnant with the ankles to prove it, and I am currently, presently, before and after this video, in the process of writing my birth plan down. An actual piece of paper that says, here is how I would prefer things play out. In this fashion, barring crisis or catastrophe, here's what I want to happen.
It was just too much pressure for me. So my plan with my first baby was not to plan anything. I was already pregnant, I was already having a baby, contrary to any plan that I had had in my life. So pretty much at that point, everything just kind of went out the window and I was like, okay, world, I'm just gonna take things one day at a time and see what happens. And that included, for me, my birth.
I did have a birth plan, and my birth plan went like this. La 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 la. I felt like my brain would just move toward whatever situations I was planning out, and so planning for worst case scenarios for me was too anxiety ridden. So I just decided, okay, our birth plan is I will try to go natural, and if that's too painful, then I will take drugs, and we don't want a C-section, if at all possible.
I am a huge preparer. I study and prepare and take notes and do all kinds of research. So if I needed to do this, I wanted to do this. So I decided I'm gonna break down, I'm gonna download this birth plan form and find out what it is. I went to print it out, and every time I got page after page after page after page of things to fill out.
The birth plan, Nancy, that you pulled out as an example, I mean, I've never seen something quite like that. I didn't realize it had to be like a 50-page encyclopedia play-by-play of your plan. WTF.
If I had come to my doctor and the people in the hospital with a sheaf of papers of what I wanted to do, they would have been like, whatever, chica. I mean, it's just not gonna happen. You know, I think you can set yourself up for disappointment too, because the first time with my daughter, I thought, okay, I'm going to give birth in a tub of water while doves coo on the edge of the Grand Canyon. It didn't end up that way. I had a C-section.
I've never talked to anybody whose birth worked according to plan. And I feel like it's always the people with the most thorough birth plans that end up in completely different situations.
I did not have a birth plan with my daughter, Lita, 5 years ago. I mean, I'd heard talk about it, but I just wasn't paying attention, and I was just a new person. I'm like, oh, my doctor's gonna take care of everything, and it's gonna be fine. I sort of shut up and let it all happen to me. And consequently, had an aftermath that I dealt with for many months. Going into labor this time, I have a much more different attitude about it. And I have a specific set of things in my mind that I want my doctor to know before I'm laying there naked and she's holding a pair of scissors, if you know what I'm saying.
Here's some of the questions that were on this birth plan form. It said, I would like to, and you're supposed to check off the boxes of the things you would like, to bring music, to dim the lights, to take pictures and or film during labor and delivery. Really? You're supposed to check off a box that says whether you want to bring music or not? I mean, if you want to bring music, why don't you just bring music? And then you're supposed to check off a box of whether you want to dim the lights or not? I mean, seriously.
Nancy, yeah, I think those forms you download are pretty much useless. I just can't imagine my doctor looking at the form and being like, you know, okay, I see here that you don't want a C-section, so that's important to know. What concerns me is that you haven't filled out the section about your music selection. I really want to talk that through with you right now.
With my son, there were a lot of things I was saying to my doctor over and over again this time. Oh, well, I want this differently and this differently, you know. Because frankly, I wanted to hear Cat Stevens' Morning is Broken as he was being delivered, and I did. But I also said, I want a good IV. I don't want to feel like I'm being stuck like a stuffed pig like I was last time. And I said this to my doctor a million times. Didn't matter. I get to the hospital 2 hours before she does anyway, so what does it matter?
In San Francisco, I had the benefit of having a hospital that had a really non-invasive philosophy, so I felt like they would make the best decisions both medically and for the health of the baby and my continued health. I think it would have felt really differently if I had been living in a town or that with a hospital that was just like, hey, you get the epidural the minute you walk in the door, and if you want to schedule a C-section, we recommend it because it's easier for the doctors.
The next time that I went into the doctor's appointment for my doctor, I said, listen, everybody's acting like this birth plan form is really important, and I don't want to be missing out on something. My doctor said, Nancy, let me ask you a couple of questions. He said, do you want to deliver vaginally? And I said, yes, that's what I want to do. And he goes, well, in case of an emergency, you would have a C-section. I said, of course. How about an epidural? You want an epidural? And I said, yes. I don't like pain. And then who do you want in the labor and delivery room? And I said, well, I want my husband there, my husband, and my husband. And he goes, okay, that's it. You got your birth plan. And I said, I do? And he goes, yeah. He goes, we have a verbal birth plan.
Do I think that a written, printed out birth plan is crucial to labor? No. I think the whole point in talking about birth plans is to let women know their options. And yeah, sometimes you have to write down, I want music to play, because the hospital may have a policy where they don't allow music. Or the hospital may have a policy that you only are allowed 2 people in the room when you may want 5. It's really important to find out these things before you go into labor so that you have the optimal experience for you and what you want.
Bottom line for me, I didn't feel like a long birth plan form was necessary. My verbal birth plan was just fine, and I have to say that I had the most wonderful labor and delivery. Look forward to hearing from you, ladies.
The conversation is happening now at Momversation.com.